Hello, welcome back to A Course in Miracles. And well, hey, pop quiz. You know how I said there wasn't going to be a pop quiz or a test at the end of the workbook? It's not school. Yeah, forget that. I lied. Pop quiz. What's our function here? Right. What is our purpose? Our function? That's the question. That's the question. And you may know the answer already. But let me just give you a moment to consider that and think about it. What is our purpose? I know, right? Pop quiz? What the hell? Yeah. No. And if you've forgotten, perfectly okay, right? Don't worry. You're still not doing it wrong because we all forget things along the way. We all forget things because each and every one of us that appears here in a body has forgotten who we really are. So, of course, we'll forget details. We'll forget to text somebody. We'll forget about an appointment. We'll forget that we left our half full glass on the dining room table without a coaster. And then we come back several hours later to discover a big fat ring. We just sort of forget things. Why? Well, we're juggling way too much, for starters, aren't we? I mean, really, it's the quiet mind that can truly hear the voice for God, not the mind that is wrapped up in a heated political argument or that's so engaged in all the multiple phenomena on their cell phone and social media, which includes this YouTube channel. So definitely watch that, right? But when we are swept away by what we perceive to be the demands of life, we forget things. We do, we just forget shit all the time. So lesson 257 in the workbook is, let me remember what my purpose is. Let me remember what my purpose is. Hence the pop quiz to kick this off. Well, if you answered that our purpose is forgiveness, that's correct. Yeah, that's why we're here. That is the way that God has appointed for us. And if you think about it in terms of the thought system of A Course in Miracles, which I'm presenting here, this makes a lot of sense. And it makes sense. It's just a matter of our remembering it and practicing it, because it's all about practical application. Isn't this wonderful that there's a universal spirituality, which is actually all of it, that's not about belief. You're not required to believe things. If you don't believe them, you're just as capable of waking up as one that does. So really, all you're asked to do in the workbook for students, and this is one of the genius elements of A Course in Miracles, all you're asked to do is to suspend your disbelief and judgment as much as you can, like you do when you go to a movie. It's not true. It's a movie. It's a frickin' movie, right? Yet we still are wildly entertained and even moved by them. Yeah. The workbook invites you to think of it in the same way and just show up and practice these ideas. Even if all you do is read it once and think about it for 15 seconds, that's still very important. And as we know, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. So to simply recite the day's idea once or twice when you remember to do it is just as powerful, right, as spending hours on it. Any miracle of forgiveness is the same as moving mountains, because that's what it is. When you think about it, when you really, really think about it, that's what it is. Forgiveness, our purpose in this world, is moving mountains. It's to be and live as a miracle worker, which you are. I am, we all are. There is nothing particularly special about me standing here, sitting here in front of a camera and talking about this. I'm no different than anyone else. Each of us is a miracle worker. Each of us is capable of it, but we ourselves are the ones that must decide to do it. It makes ideas like lesson 257 that much more important. Let me remember what my purpose is. Let me remember what God's will is for me. It's forgiveness. If you practice another spiritual tradition that is on the surface different from A Course in Miracles, it's really the same thing, isn't it? Every world spiritual tradition preaches and teaches love. It teaches the extension of love. And whether it says so in as many words or not doesn't make any difference. If you think about it, they all converge. So we're all going to the same place, so to speak. And of course we are, because we're not going anywhere. There's nowhere to go. We're simply removing the barriers to our awareness of who we are. We're removing, as the Course puts it, the barriers to our awareness of love's presence, of God's presence, of our own presence. God's will is our own. There's no separation of any kind. Literally, how could it possibly be otherwise? This is the simple truth of spirituality that the ego has us reject. It has us get involved in those heated political discussions, doesn't it? It has us obsess over minutiae and details that we have absolutely no control over whatsoever, like what someone else is going to do to help speed a process that we're involved in along on February 25th, right? In the future, what should have, could have, would have happened last night. It's the past. We're invited time and again, repeatedly, because we need this repetition, clearly, we're invited time and again to return to the present moment, to return to peace, stillness, tranquility, to remind ourselves, because we need reminders, what our purpose is. It's forgiveness. If you are new to A Course in Miracles and follow other spiritual traditions, again, this is universal. It's universal. It's not about which book is right vis-a-vis another or versus another. There's no versus, guys. There is no separation of any kind. Any discussion of spirituality that you ever listen to, if it's truly authentic, it will be universal in theme and application, just as A Course in Miracles, by its own statement, is universal in theme and application. And lesson 257 here today just underscores the importance of forgiveness, doesn't it? It underscores the importance of clearing our mind of drama and seeing things for what they are. And it's repetitive because we need the repetition. We need the reinforcement that comes with consistent practice. So every time I'm involved in a group studying and practicing this course, whether it is in an ongoing study group or whether it's an online conversation, whether it's a one-off workshop or a seminar, there's always someone in the group, inevitably, right, that feels that they're doing this wrong and stops doing the work because they don't remember the workbook idea for the day. It's all right. The purpose of this repetition is so that we can train our mind. It's mind training. Spirituality is mind training. Remember, there's nothing out there. You only appear to be a physical body, and you're certainly not stuck in it. We need all of this repetition because there will come a day where we're just not feeling up to ourselves, are we? We're sick. It's not a good day. If there's a phrase, right? It's just not my day. Well, we all have days like that. And inevitably, there's someone that begins this workbook in a very excited place. They come from a place of true, earnest willingness to study and practice, having perhaps sat on the periphery of discussions just like this one for years, had the book on the shelf for years and thought about it maybe every so often. And now they're ready to jump in, and you get 5-10 lessons in and discover that actually you didn't do all of the workbook exercises the way the course suggested, not prescribed, but suggested, right, that you do them. And then people give up on that. And what I inevitably say is, well, of course, it's their choice, right? I mean, it's your choice. Maybe this has been you in the past. I will tell you, the first time that I picked up the workbook and started going through it, I did go through and do it every day, but not every day was equal in terms of practice. There were plenty of days where I would read the day's idea because I made it part of my daily routine, along with coffee and journaling, things like that. It's better for me to connect with this material first thing in the morning. So I would do that, and then I would go to bed that night wondering, oh, what the hell was the day's idea? Oh, shit, I fucking forgot again. Right? And I mean, literally, I said that to myself a lot. I mean, really, it probably happened dozens of times. And you know what? So what? So what? It's okay. It's okay to forget. This is what the reminders are for. So when you discover that you've forgotten, bring your awareness or attention back to this idea. People do, that are going through the workbook, people do set alarms on their watches. They do set alarms on their phones for a message to go off, reminding them to practice. People post Post-it notes and sticky notes on their computers, on the wall, on their desk, on bulletin boards. Yeah. People set themselves reminders. And if that helps you, by all means, do what helps you to remember to practice, because we all need those, because we all have days that we're going to be really, I mean, really messed up and really carried away. It's inevitable on the path. And all you do is remember the day's idea. Recognize that your purpose here is to extend love. Your purpose here is to be a miracle worker, and I want you to do that. Yeah? Because you are one. So own that. Yeah? Own it. I do want you to own that. You are a miracle worker. So work miracles. Remind yourself as many times as you can and must of your purpose. And it's also incredibly helpful to remind yourself again and again of what you really deep down truly want, the peace of God. And if you don't really want that above all else, then remind yourself of these ideas and practice, because you will, as we all do, get to a point where that's all we want. And if you conceive of our journey through the world as a tunnel with moving pictures, or a water slide, with moving pictures, that's hitting a stretch where it really speeds up the velocity, which we all want deep down. We're all decluttering. That's what we're doing, is we're decluttering. When we recognize we're carried away by ego thoughts, we bring our attention back to the idea that we're working on. You can use that idea, the idea of the day, in the workbook for students as that anchor. Just like you would in meditation, just like you would use the breath or the sound of an instructor in a guided meditation, or music, or a mantra, whatever it is, whatever the support or the anchor is. This is a support and an anchor in a giant living, breathing, walking meditation that we call life. And it is that. So take full advantage as soon as you remember or recognize, yes, that you're, oh yeah, distracted, you're carried away. Don't judge yourself or beat yourself up for that. None of us is a slacker or a scum for forgetting the day's idea. Just like none of us is a sinner, because there is no sin. So my hope is that you find that to be a tremendous relief, and that it inspires you on the deepest possible level to practice. Because it's all about that. It's all about experience. So consequently, right, no practice, no experience, no realization, no awakening. So remember your purpose today and bring your mind gently back to that as often as you can. All right, we'll see you here on the very next video.